Alton Towers is the UK's biggest theme park. In 2021, despite restrictions, the park attracted roughly 2.3 million visitors, making it one of the busiest in Europe. What sets this theme park apart, however, is its unique setting. Alton Towers sits neatly within the quiet countryside of Staffordshire, amongst the ruins of a once-used stately home. That's right, a stately home. It's not quite a castle like at Magic Kingdom, but unlike everything at Magic Kingdom, it's actually real. The whole grounds, including the extensive gardens, once belonged to the Earl of Shrewsbury in the early 1800s. Like any good theme park, Alton Towers has rides, lots of them. The park is home to over 40 rides, including a collection of 10 roller coasters. Since opening in 1980, it has accumulated a unique selection of roller coasters, including ones rare to the continent. Alton Towers has Galactica, one of only 2 large-scale flying coasters within Europe, allowing you to soar above the ground like Superman. And even Rita, one of the world's increasingly rare hydraulic launch coasters, which accelerates you from 0 to 100 km per hour, 60 miles per hour, in just 2.5 seconds. One of the things all Alton Towers rides have in common is their height, or really, their lack of it. The park has a height problem. Oh yeah, and that roller coaster problem we're getting to. Due to the laws conserving the views of the surrounding countryside, they can't build their rides higher than the tree line. This means that, in theory, it shouldn't be possible to see any attraction from outside of the park. To deal with this, the creative and engineering teams at Alton Towers have come up with a range of solutions over the years. No solution could beat the one that they employed during the 1990s. To make exciting roller coasters, despite the short height, the park developed a 2-step strategy. First, find the tallest tree in the area you want to build your new ride. That point becomes the top of your lift hill. Step 2, dig down as far as you need to get the ride you want. For both Nemesis and Oblivion, Alton Towers used this strategy to perfection. Nemesis opened in 1994 as Europe's first inverted roller coaster. When it debuted, there was nothing like it. The vast majority of the ride takes place within a large, purpose-built pit. The park used explosives to carve out a very specific hole in the ground, a hole that the ride would follow. Nemesis climbs high into the trees before dipping in and out of the ground below. This enables the layout of the ride to follow an untraditional flow. The inverted coasters prior to Nemesis often used an almost cookie-cutter layout, a vertical loop, followed by a zero-G roll, then another loop, and finally 2 corkscrews. Nemesis begins with a corkscrew, then flies over the station with a zero-G roll, dives into the loop placed within the pit, and ends with a second corkscrew. It's thanks to this and the unique terrain that Nemesis still remains one of the best inverted coasters in the world 30 years later. Oblivion has a similar story. It opened in 1998 as the world's first vertical drop roller coaster, allowing you to plummet near vertically towards the ground. Known as a dive coaster, these rides are all about the drop. Due to the restriction, Alton Towers had to dig down to create the same kick. So they did. Roughly half of Oblivion's 55-meter, 180-foot drop is below the ground, beneath your feet. This creates one hell of a spectacle. The ride vehicles for Oblivion simply vanish into the hole whilst dropping near vertically. It's a sensation no other dive coaster around the world has managed to replicate to the same degree, yet. That's not to say that Alton Towers don't use this approach anymore. The park's latest major 2 roller coasters, the Smiler and Wicker Man, both received substantial terrain manipulation and follow the park's natural hills. It's just that Nemesis and Oblivion take this concept to the extreme. Terrain is great because it creates bespoke rides, ones which couldn't be replicated elsewhere because the landscape is unique. Well, unless you've got a big hill that just so happens to be the right size for Oblivion. It still looks a bit wrong though. I'm talking about you, Diving Machine G5. The problem with this incredibly bespoke terrain approach comes when you need to replace the ride. How do you put a new ride in a hole designed for something else? Hence, Alton Towers has a roller coaster problem. Sadly, roller coasters don't last forever, they have shelf lives. The amount of time an individual ride can last depends on a whole range of factors, including maintenance costs, popularity, and how many cycles it has completed. More complex rides require more maintenance. At some point, a theme park might not be willing to spend the money to maintain their ride any longer. This goes hand in hand with popularity. Why spend money to keep an attraction no one is riding? Finally, some theme parks are open all year round. Rides at these parks will be ridden more than their counterparts at theme parks which close over winter. This means they're subject to more wear and tear, leading to a shorter shelf life. I'm not sure there are really any hard and fast rules regarding the lifespan of roller coasters. I've heard figures like 25 years be thrown around, especially for rides produced by Swiss roller coaster manufacturer Bolliger & Mabillard, more commonly known as B&M. Both Nemesis and Oblivion were designed by B&M, and it's safe to say they're getting old. As of 2023, Nemesis is 29 years old and Oblivion is 25. Ultimately, neither ride has been designed to last forever. For your average park, this isn't really a problem. They tear down the old ride and replace it with a brand new one. Simple. Alton Towers have done that in the past. 13 replaced the park's first ever roller coaster, Corkscrew, which operated between 1980 and 2008, whilst the Smiler replaced the Black Hole, Alton Towers' previous indoor roller coaster, which was around between 1983 and 2005. The difference here is that these two old rides were the opposite of bespoke. Corkscrew and the Black Hole were mass-produced. They featured no permanent foundations. Instead, they sat on a large steel frame, often known as a base frame, which are most commonly found on traveling roller coasters. The Black Hole in particular was one of 50 Jetstar rides designed by Schwarzkopf for mass installation by theme parks across the world. Except this one was in a tent. Cool. The same demolish and replace solution can't be applied to Nemesis and Oblivion. How can you design a new roller coaster to fill a hole specifically built for a different one? Well, I guess in theory you could, though I expect the end result would be a ride that doesn't feel as integrated as the one it replaced. So what are the other solutions? Tear it down and do nothing? Tear it down and fill in the pit? Tear it down and fill the pit in with water to make a nice lake? Or keep the same ride, extend the lifespan of the original roller coaster by refurbishing it. In the world of roller coasters, this often means fabricating new, like-for-like pieces of track to replace the older, worn ones, thus keeping the same ride, but now with double the lifespan. I had the idea to make this video over 2 years ago. If I'd have made it then, the video would have ended with this prediction. Due to everything I've explained, I predict that Alton Towers will refurbish Nemesis. They'll give it new track with the intention of keeping it around for many years to come. Except now it's 2023, Nemesis is closed, new pieces of track are being swung into place as I speak. A prediction doesn't really hit the same if it comes after the fact, does it? The all-new Nemesis will open in 2024. It'll feature black track instead of the old white, probably to aid in marketing it as a new and improved version. Nemesis 2.0 if you will. Nevertheless, the fate of Nemesis is decided. Perhaps it'll stick around for another 30 years. Check back here in 2053. But what about Oblivion? Its fate is much more complicated. A considerable proportion of the ride's track is effectively locked underground. How do you replace that? Dig up the hole, remove the old track, put new pieces in and cover it back over? Or maybe you slowly fish each piece out of the small tunnel to then carefully put the new ones back in? Both of these scenarios seem unlikely. Perhaps Alton Towers will do what they can to maintain the ride without replacing entire sections of track. That is, until the cost of maintaining the aging ride outweighs the benefit of keeping it alive. If they do close the ride and cover up the hole, does that mean they're officially burying parts of Oblivion? RIP. This alone is a problem for the park. However, to add to this, Alton Towers is running out of undeveloped space. From the outside, it looks like they have too much space. The park's grounds are huge. In reality, the vast majority is protected from development. Previous long-term development plans published by the park have outlined a few areas for new rides. This included replacing the old Flume ride with what would eventually become Wicker Man. the potential for the development of an area of the park known as Coaster Corner, which is currently the future site of the new for 2025 indoor ride, codenamed Project Horizon. There's also the area behind 13 in the Dark Forest, proposed for the development of an insane idea of building a cross-valley roller coaster. Yeah, that's the one that dives through the gardens to the Forbidden Valley, only to dive back the other way. Sure, like that's going to happen. And finally, there's the plot of land behind Galactica, outside of the existing park, which is currently used for parking. You'll notice that some of these areas have already been used, are currently in the process of being used, or are stupidly unlikely to be used. What happens when there's no more space to build new rides? You remove the old ones. Alton Towers has done this before, like Corkscrew 413, the Black Hole for the Smiler, and the Flume for Wicker Man. These were all aging rides, however. If Nemesis and Oblivion, two of the park's oldest attractions, are immovable, what major roller coaster is first to go? Galactica, the third oldest, built in 2002? Or what about Rita, the fourth oldest, built in 2005? In my mind, there's the most potential with Galactica. The ride fills a large, relatively vague plot of land with the option for expansion right next door. Galactica does use the terrain, but it isn't defined by it either. When Project Horizon opens in 2025, the world's first B&M flying coaster will be 23 years old. We are yet to see how well these flying coasters age, but they're complex machines, far more complex than other roller coasters out there. All of this means that Alton Towers is in a unique position. They're bound by a complex set of rules to protect the local landscape, have a limited amount of space, and a finite amount of money. Historically, it's been fairly simple for the park to expand. Older, previous rides were mass-produced, glorified fairground attractions. It's not really a difficult decision to remove a ride that has been replicated many times around the globe. Today, it's different. Alton Towers is full of unique additions, ones which have become an iconic part of the park's history. The next decade will be extremely interesting. It's becoming more complicated for Alton Towers to expand their portfolio of rides, and it's only going to get worse. By 2033, who knows what will happen? Oblivion could be 35 years old, Galactica 31 years old, Rita 28 years old, 13 23 years old. Which of the big seven will close first? Only time will tell. Thank you for watching, subscribe if you enjoyed it, and we'll see you all next time.